All right, for tree identification and uses, one of my absolute favorites. We have a lot of birch and ash and maple and oak around here, but ash and birch are really common. And one of my favorites is the black birch. And I was fortunate enough to come across this one in the woods that had naturally come down. But one of my favorite uses for this one is the bark. In lots of ways is really useful, but one of my favorite ways to use it is just kind of chewing on the little twigs, and it has salicylic acid in it, so it's a natural analgesic, and it's a great one when you're with kids, especially when you find one of these. Just give them a little bit and you tell them to chew on it, and they kind of look at you skeptically, and then they chew on it and they taste that kind of spearmint or, you know, birch beer flavor. But I like using the tender twigs to bundle up and make an infusion, make a tea, and that's what I'm going to do with some of it. It's also great for carving. Birch, when it's green, is just wonderful for carving spoons. And then of course the bark is great. If you get an older specimen and you can get some of the bark that's peeling away, the black birch tends to not have real peely bark like the yellow and stuff, but sometimes when you find them that are more dead and the wood has rotted away more, you can get some black birch bark, which, as you know, is great for fire lighting and making little torches and candles and things like that when you bundle it up and put it in the tip of a split stick. So I'm going to see if I can find some of the flakier stuff like this. And the black birch bark is really thin. So it just lights up like gasoline. But we'll show some different uses of that. We'll probably get more than two of it. I'm going to make the infusion with some of these little tender shoots, and I'm going to show that in a moment or two. And then you can use the bark for that too. You can, you know, take some bark and slice it away. And I wouldn't do this on a live tree, but just like that, you can use that and make an infusion as well. But I'm going to do that and light some on fire just so you can see how easy it lights. Not that you don't know that, but I might carve a spoon with it. So if I do the infusion and carve a spoon out of a nice bit of this, hopefully that'll show how good the black birch is as far as a tree. So what I mean by infusion as opposed to tea is usually tea, you take the hot water and then you add the leaves to it, the dried leaves. An infusion, you start off with cold water and bring whatever it is up to heat with the water, and then you might even turn it off and let it go for a while. Just let it sit for a while. I'll wait for that to bloom. And so I've got my little branches in there, all bunched up. I like using the tender branches. That seems to work really well for me. It's great iced. It's great hot. I like it just plain with the nettle tea. I usually like to add a little bit of honey to it if I have it. But this stuff is great just the way it is. And again, it's got that salicylic acid in it, that component in aspirin. So it's really good for you too, especially, you know, if you've been hiking all day and you're kind of achy and tired. You know, good bit of black birch tea will help out. So we're going to get that on the fire, and then I took a nice sized branch from the black birch. Again, this is nice green wood. It's really heavy, and I'm going to make a little spoon or a little spatula, I'm not sure. All right, so the infusion is bubbling away. The spoon is taking shape. I always leave a little extension on the front until I'm done, because that helps carve the bowl. I didn't bring my spoon knife with me, so I won't be able to carve the spoon, the bowl, but I'll include a photo of the finished spoon in with the post. But first tree, 2 uses, black birch, well, 3 uses. Fire, I'm not going to show that because you know that full well. But the infusion of the branches or the bark for a kind of semi-medicinal drink. Excellent wood for spoon carving, and first use of my Green River that I got from Sweeney Guy through a trade, and that's going to stay with me for a good long while, and if for some reason I ever decide it doesn't need to stay with me, it's going back to Jim. So that's it. I'll show the finished product in a still photo or two, but hopefully that's sufficient for the black birch, for 2 at least uses of that. This is the other tree identification. This is a Scots pine, has needles in pairs, and the needles are really good. The green needles are really good for making tea that apparently has a lot of vitamin C in it. So I'm going to gather a bunch of the needles for making the tea, and then the other thing that it's really useful for is you'll find where the branches and stuff come down and different wounds in the tree, you'll find crystallized bits of pine resin, and this can all be gathered and melted and mixed up with a little bit of ground charcoal, and makes a really good epoxy. It's amazing how strong it can be for you know, setting tool points and things like that. So I'm going to gather some of the sap, gather some of the needles, and then get back to you when I get a little fire built to mix up some of the pine pitch glue. All right, I got a little charcoal over here, and I'm going to crunch that up nice and fine. All right, so that's our finished pine pitch glue, and a lot of people like it's amazing stuff. It hardens very quickly, but then it softens up quickly. So as you're working with it, you need to work with it near the fire as you play with it and adjust it with the listing. But then you can just kind of gob it around a stick, and it'll harden up pretty quickly. And then you can just carry that with you. It doesn't all fall in the fire. And just sort of use it as you need it. Just heat up a little bit, put it on whatever you're hafting, and just use it that way. And get to the point pretty quickly where you can, with moistened fingers, just sort of mold it and keep it on your stick, and then transport it with you for doing all of your Paleolithic sort of stuff. So for the pine needle tea, I've gathered my needles, and sometimes when you pull them out you get the nice little white stems like this. Sometimes they have the little sheath on them, and if you just pop those off or cut them off or just don't use them, but you don't want to use that little brown bit because I think that probably has a lot of the turpentine-y stuff in it, and you don't want to taste, I don't want my pine tea to taste like turpentine. Maybe someone does, but that's how you prepare it.